Hey all, this is Redditosker, and I'm going to show you how to efficiently kill all the different types of automatons at various different levels, using the stratagems that you'll have available at those levels. This is important because I see a lot of people struggling with the automaton type enemy, especially when they're early level and do not yet have access to the very powerful high level stratagems. Let's start at the low level and go from there. As early as level 2 you can unlock the anti-material rifle, and this is going to be your bread and butter at least until level 10. The anti-material rifle has a shortcoming in that it can't be aimed normally. You have to aim via the scope in first person mode. Trying to aim and shoot normally will be very inaccurate because it doesn't even have the crosshair. But it also has a lot of advantages that more than make up for it. It lets you accurately shoot from very long distances, and you can modify how much the scope is zoomed in, which can be very useful against the automatons if you want to shoot at them from a distance or from cover. You don't always want to be right next to them, since unlike the bugs, they have the tendency to shoot back. It also has a lot of ammo. You can carry up to 6 magazines, and each one of those magazines holds 7 rounds. And that's even more impressive because the anti-material rifle can kill any of the normal automaton grunt enemies with one shot anywhere on the body. Now as for the scout striders, you can get around them and shoot the back, or you can kill them with a well-placed grenade, but probably the easiest way to deal with them is to use your anti-material rifle and shoot them 3 times in the center or twice in the leg. Next is the Berserkers and the Devastators. These units are heavily armored, and most small arms fire won't do damage to them unless you're hitting them in the head or in the waist, the head being the main weak spot. The anti-material rifle can take them out in one hit if you manage to hit them in the head, but even if you hit them in an armored spot, it will still do damage and cause them to flinch. The Devastators can be tricky because they have shield versions, and the shield will protect them from the anti-material rifle. And so the rifle is particularly useful here because you can be at a distance and take your time aiming for the head. Next is the Hulk, and the Hulk is surprisingly easy to deal with. The anti-material rifle won't penetrate most of its armor, but it will penetrate the head, and it'll only take 2 rounds to bring it down. The Hulk also has an extremely large heatsink exposed on its back, and that weak point can even be damaged by small arms fire. If shot here, the heatsink will catch fire, and soon after the Hulk will explode. Next is the turret on top of bases. Some bases will have a cannon that targets you when you get close. These turrets also have an exhaust port on their back, and while I don't think you can damage these with normal small arms, you can damage them with the anti-material rifle. However, it's not a very quick way of doing it, and the turret might angle its exhaust out of your line of sight before you can finish it off. And so for these, I recommend that you bring the expendable anti-tank stratagem. You get 2 with that stratagem, and it'll make quick work of those turrets, and because they're expendable, you can use them and then pick up your anti-material rifle back up. In fact, while you're in these low levels, I recommend that you take the rifle and the anti-tank stratagems for basically any automaton mission, because they'll also be useful against the tank. The tanks have an exhaust port, and that can be hit with the anti-material rifle, which is useful if you're playing with others and the tank is distracted, allowing you to get all your shots in. But sometimes you're not going to be able to get the weak point with the rifle, and for those situations you're going to want to have the anti-tank stratagem on hand. Plus there's also a different type of tank that doesn't have the exhaust port weak spot, and if you face one of those, you're definitely going to need those expendable anti-tank rounds. Now at level 10 things change a bit. At that level you're able to unlock the autocannon, and the autocannon can replace your anti-material rifle if you want. It does have a lot of advantages over the sniper. You can shoot it accurately without having to look down the scope. The rounds are explosive, and it has a fast rate of fire. But it does come with some costs. You can't kill things at the same distance that you could with the sniper. The autocannon can't reload unless there's room for the bullets, and when you do reload, you need to completely stop, unlike the anti-material rifle, which lets you reload while you move. Most importantly though, if you're using the autocannon, you probably have the backpack on your back so you can reload, which means that it's occupying your backpack slot. But if you use the rifle, you can also bring a backpack alongside that. At level 10 you'll have access to the jump pack, the supply pack, and the 2 different types of guard dog drones. And at level 12, just 2 levels from where you are at this point, you get access to the ballistic shield. And for these reasons I prefer the anti-material rifle even at level 10. Because while I do think that the autocannon does its job better, it doesn't do it so much better that it's worth these costs. At level 10 you also unlock the Eagle 110mm rockets. and you should definitely bring them to any automaton encounter. Because with the setup we have right now, the only real threat we have are automaton tanks and maybe the turrets. Every other high-tier automaton type is quickly dispatched with the anti-material rifle, and so the rocket pods should be saved for the tank or turret type enemies. Because even though you only get 2 of them before they have to reload, they're very effective. I've never seen them fail to kill a tank, probably because the tanks are often stationary and when they do move, they move slowly. So you should save those rocket pods for tanks and turrets, use the rifle for any other big problems, and if you do that, you'll probably have the rocket pods back up before you need to face another 2 tanks. And on the off chance that you do get some more in that short amount of time, you can still use the anti-material rifle to hit the exhaust port of the tank. Finally, when you get to level 20, the best way to deal with all the different types of automatons is probably the railgun. The railgun is just brutally strong, and 20 shots is plenty. It can down the scout striders in 1 shot. If you hit the weak point of the Hulk, it will down it in 1 shot. And even if you don't hit the weak point, it'll still do damage. You can take out turrets and tanks with it without even having to aim at their weak point. And if you put it in unsafe mode, it'll take them down even faster. Specifically for taking out tanks, the spear might be better, but the railgun has too much versatility. It can take out too many things too quickly. And it has an abundance of ammo which the spear does not. And if you keep taking the 110mm pods, then you can use those to take out tanks, use the railgun on pretty much everything else, and the railgun will also work on tanks if need be. Plus, the railgun doesn't require a backpack, which means that you're free to take the shield generator pack since you're at level 20. And that is just the best pack to take against the automatons. It creates a shield around you that will deflect both melee and projectiles, and it's really strong. I don't know exactly how much health it has, but it has to be at least as much as a person, because you can see what bullets hit it, and you can see this thing taking a lot of damage. Once it takes too much damage, it'll pop, but after a few seconds of it being off, it'll come back. The shield gives you a lot of survivability, the railgun lets you damage any type of enemy very effectively, and the 110mm rocket pods let you quickly take out the one enemy type that you're not completely suited for. And together this loadout lets you be an asset to any team, because there won't ever be a situation where you're facing the automatons and you feel ineffective. Anyway, that's the end of this video. As always, thank you very much for watching.